Hello. Thank you for joining me yet again for another episode of some random girl dorking around with her plants. Today I am very, very excited because it is almost my birthday. Tomorrow will be my birthday. I'll be turning 29 again. Anyways, I'm really excited because my loving, adorable husband has given me basically my dream gift, which is a plant shelf for this area here. So today I'm going to be taking everything down that you see here, this mess, this horrible disaster. I'm taking everything down. Hopefully, if all goes well, I will also construct the shelf and install the lights that go onto it so that tomorrow on my birthday, I can spend some time decorating that shelf and placing my plants just how I want them, all my little knickknacks and baubles that I like to clutter up my space with. Etc. So I mean, we'll see how things go. If you like the video along the way, give it a thumbs up. If you like watching weirdos do their shenanigans on the internet, you can subscribe. And if you want to talk about anything that you see in the comment section, we can chat about the shelf, the construction, the assembly, the lighting that I chose, the plants that I have, the junk that clutters up my shelves, whatever you guys want to talk about, we'll do that. So I guess without further ado, let's get rolling. Well, I'm almost done cleaning up here. And this is kind of weird, but I feel like kind of surprised by how hard it is for me to clean up my my mementos from Peach. Like my bearded dragon, I think she's been gone for almost a year, you know, close to a year. But there's something very final in taking down her table. Like, this was the table she lived on. I don't know, I was surprised to find myself tearing up. But here we go. I really loved her. Okay, so that actually went a lot easier and a lot faster than what I was expecting. It's kind of echoey in here now without that furniture. But the furniture is down. The room, like the space, is all cleaned up. I guess right now it's just time for me to take a break and drink something that's not caffeinated and read the instructions before I really get going with trying to assemble my shelves. But it's going good so far, so. Okay, hi again. Welcome back. It is day 2 of putting together my Vittsjö shelf birthday gift. Before we get back into it, I just want to take a couple seconds to talk about some of the troubleshooting or I don't know, things that I noticed while building this shelf that might be able to help anybody else out as they're building, if they're getting one of these. So the first thing is, when I opened the boxes, there was a little bit of, I don't know, like some broken glass from the shelves. Like, it's not noticeable that much to the eye, but a couple of the shelves, like the corner of the glass had chipped off. And there was also a little bit of like particulate metal shavings inside the box from Ikea. And that wasn't like a huge deal. I didn't notice any real damage or scuffing to the shelving itself, but I use those boxes as a mat for doing my assembly. And while I was doing that, I cut like the top of my foot. Like, I just like slightly got a cut, which was like really, I don't know, it's not a big deal. I mean, everybody's had a cut, but I just want to throw that out there as a heads up. If you are about to build one of these, just be a little careful when you're opening the packaging. If you see like shards and fragments of things, maybe just like suck it up with a vacuum real quick. That's my first little tip from my experience. Second is when putting the horizontal cross braces on the shelf. There are 2 key components to keep in mind. And yes, the instructions do a good job of showing it to you, but it didn't make sense to me. It didn't register to me like what I was looking for. And I mean, I'll admit to some extent, you know, I do struggle with basic daily functions. But this is something that might be helpful to anybody else who's doing this build. And that is, there are specific types of holes in the crossbars. And one type of like tab is meant for resting the glass on, and another type of tab is meant for screwing this wooden top and bottom piece onto. And so the difference is, when you get your crossbar like this, they all have tabs on them. But on the bottom shelf, you want to look for this tab that has the screw hole and not this tab that you rest glass on. So I don't know if that, you know, I'm sure most people in the world, that's easy for them to do. But if you're like me, that will be helpful. And then the other tip is that there is a crossbar on the back for the second from bottom shelf, and it attaches like a stability bracket. So your stability bracket looks like this, and see, this will be the bottom. This is the second from bottom, and the backs of those get a stability bracket. So making sure that the crossbar that has this one extra hole should be facing, A, you need to isolate them and make sure that they're on the same level, and B, that they are on the same direction. And the instructions show you that piece right here. So this is where you're screwing, all the screws go into here. Every piece has that. And then this one, the back of it has this hole right here. And knowing that was helpful for me because it helped me orient the back of the shelf as I was building it. And it was necessary for me because I chose to remove one of the horizontal crossbars in the front because I wanted to have a big section so I could display some of my taller plants. So knowing where the back of the shelf was really handy for knowing which crossbar to leave off. Let me see if I have any other things that I ran into, because for me, going through this whole process, I ended up having to like build the shelf, and then the first time I made it, I had to take it apart because the pieces weren't correct. Oh, that reminds me, this is how I knew. My final tip, I don't know how I would have completed the project if I didn't think of this tip. So in order to install the top and bottom wooden shelves, you need to And I apologize if it's echoing in here. I'm still in the midst. But you need to line up the metal frame with the piece of like MDF, like manufactured wood. And you need to use some type of a pick. I used, you know, a pick and a hammer to hammer it like a hole, because there's no pre-cut holes in these wooden things. And you have a small screw that you're screwing into there. So at first I was like, I'm not gonna fucking get out a whole nother tool to screw in my screws. I'm just gonna make it work, you know, like mind over matter, like bend to my will. And that was very frustrating. That didn't work. So it actually is important that you have some kind of stabbing, poking thing. But the real tip, I mean, that's just following the instructions. The real tip is you have 2 pieces of wood to screw in, top and bottom, but you only have 1 frame. This other frame is actually part of this tall piece of shelf. So if you use the top frame that is not attached to the shelf, when you pull it out of the box, it's by itself. And it shows you in step 10, before you screw these screws on, use this frame as a guide to poke your holes into both the top and the bottom, so that when it's time for you to screw this together and you're like, you have your shelf upside down and you're trying to screw it together, you don't have to hammer on it at that time, if that makes sense. I'll show, like I tried to take video of the whole process. I don't know how good it was yet. I haven't looked at it. But those were my tips. So number 1, don't cut yourself on the trash and the broken pieces of trash that are in the box. Number 2, don't confuse the crossbars. You know, look for the bottom with the special hole. Look for the one that's on the back that needs that support bar. And number 3, use this metal frame as a guide for poking the holes in top and bottom of your wooden pieces before assembling it. All right. Otherwise, for this video, we'll just kind of jump back into where we started. Already during this morning, I have installed the glass shelving. So that was really easy. I just put down like a little stickum, like a foamy stickum, and then put the glass on top. And it's just to keep it from rattling. I also prepared my lights. So this was the first time that I took them out of their boxes. I've been sitting on them for a while. I checked them to make sure that they function. I prepared them by putting some nano tape on the backs, and like the lights had these like film, like protected film. So I peeled those off. I got them all ready. And I've been working on the lights a little bit so far. But I ran into a just infuriating problem. So it's a 2-part problem. First of all, as I mentioned, full disclosure, I do struggle with basic fucking concepts. You know, I have a master's degree in English, but the idea of like measuring the shape and size of things is not, does not compute. So my lights are a little too long for the shelf, but I was like, we'll make it work. It'll be fine. It's fine if it's a little too long. And then number 2, number B, whatever, there is a gap. I mean, the bottom surface is not 100% flush, so the tape won't stick to the frame and the wood and whatever. There's a gap, and I'll show you. I'll put a thing in there over my stupid face. So intense frustration, tears, growling, ugliness. I was not rolling this morning. It was too early. It was too early. I could do working, but I could not do being a decent human. So that stuff's not included on here, luckily for the world. But I will now take this time to bring the camera over here and peek at the mess that is going on, and also share the creative solution that I'm gonna go with. So yeah, I have two, I'm gonna do 2 big lights and then 4 smaller lights. And we'll talk about the specifics at some other time, but for now we're just trying to get this thing put together so that I can put my baby plants on there. So let's take a look. Where's the off button? Okay, so we are sitting down on the floor, and I'm gonna set you down so you can see up to the top of this shelf, which is where I would have hoped to attach this light that I so carefully prepared with all this weird nano tape that defies my basic value system of unnecessary plastics. But if you can see, there's a gap. I can stick my whole finger up here if it touches the metal frame. So, I mean, here, if it makes contact with the frame here, there's a huge gap in between the glass and the light. So this is trash. So here we are on the top, the upper shelf of the wide cabinet, and you can see here what I mean. The light fucking sticks out. It's too long. But I feel like that's not gonna be the end of the world for me. I mean, this shelf is gonna end up being so like crammed and cluttered that some details like that won't be a problem. But what I did was I attached this metal clip and this wire thing to this little guy here. It came with the lights. Like, the lights thankfully came with like many ways to install them. I do need it to be symmetrical though, because that will upset me. And then what I think I'll do is maybe like tie this metal string down to here and feed it over to the back. I'll figure that out. But I think that's what we're going with. And there is a gap from here. I wanted it to be flush to the top to give me, you know, the maximum height for displaying and growing my plants. But it is what it is, and I can accept imperfection, and I will do my best to now demonstrate how I would do this again for the lower shelf. So bear with me. Well, first things first, take off the stupid trash tape. Next, we need to find the pieces that came with the lights. I'm using this metal cord stuff and these metal clips. And we gotta get this ready to use. So first of all, we don't need these keychain things. And next, we need to get these things ready. We won't be using these clips. And that's pretty handy because if we were to use these things, that's like 2 extra inches of hang that we don't want on our lights. Next, we need to prepare this wire cord. We need to prepare these wire things by pulling the loose side out. And this locks into here, but the way we can get it out is if we push down on the lock, we can pull it out. So we'll just feed this out of here. All right, I'll do the next one too. And then we want to align this chunky thing pretty much, pretty close to the center. And to move it, it's the same thing. Like you can go on your lock and look which way you want to move it. You press the lock and you just slide the cord. All right, the next thing we want to do is feed that cord through this clip hole, the top one. Yep. All right, and don't lock it back up because after this, we will be trying to hang the light. So let me feed the other one through. All right, and just as a refresher, so far we've taken the little keychain thing off of here, and we've taken the little clip off of the locking mechanism. We have freed the loose end of this wire from the lock, and now we're feeding it through here. Okay. All right, now let's move over to the shelf. All right, so I'm going to want to loop this up into here and pull it up, like, you know, tighten, tighten, tighten until this is dangling down like here, so I can attach the light bar to it. And this is a little bit tricky because you need to squeeze your wire past the shelving glass. So you need to be very careful. And then to get this chubby side over, just move the top shelf, move the side shelf. All right, are we in frame? We are not. Okay, so I have, this is where the light will clip on. And here is my wire. Now I just need to feed this wire in. Oops. Feed it in from the top. Now feed it in from the bottom. And pull it. And I'm gonna want to get my ends basically level. Just, I think that's not really necessary, but it will drive me crazy if I don't. And the way that this is working is I don't have to pull both locks. This side naturally feeds upward, but in order to feed the lock down at the same time, I just press the lock and press the lock button and just move the whole apparatus down. All right, now that's in place. I'll figure out what I'm gonna do about this ugly excess bit, you know, as I go. But let's do the other one really quickly again, just to show exactly what's happening. All right, here we are on the other side, and the lighting is a little better, so that's nice. All right, and we're gonna do the same thing before. We're gonna feed the chunky side up on the outside of the shelf, and we'll feed the skinny side up through the glass. So skinny side up, chunky side up, and then we will feed this little wire up. And I like to get it even. So once it is even, oh, we're all twisted, hold on. Once it is even, we only have to push down on this side here. Push it down and feed the wire. Get it as tight as possible. Oh, you can't see what's happening on the bottom. This is dangling here on the bottom. Okay, last of all, now we just need to clip the light. So we have our two little dangly guys, and they clip on very easily. Clip it into place. Click it into place. And voila. Now we will step back and turn it on. Okay, that actually turned out not bad. It's a lot of light. Like, it's lighting up the whole room in front of it too. It's not perfect and the cords are all over the place, but we will deal with that after. For now, let's do the other lights. am back to round 3 of my beautiful, wonderful birthday plant shelf wish dream come true saga. Yesterday it literally took all of my free time just to figure out the lighting situation. You know, it was a roller coaster of ups and downs, but we made it work. And you know what? Today is all about just the fun of actually getting to fill this shelf up with plants. I have a little bit of repotting to do beforehand because I'm not about to like display my janky plants in this beautiful shelf system. So I'm going to do a little bit of repotting. Some things are just, they're crying out, they're in desperation. I've been promising them a repot. So today will be the day. But otherwise we're gonna kind of keep the sound off. You know, I'll roll some kind of music in the background because I have the washer and dryer going, and it's time for lunch, and heaven knows girl food is crunchy. So without further ado, let's get to it. Oh, I'll take this moment also, if you've watched this far, thank you. It has been very fun hanging out. But if you are liking this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you want to chat about anything that's been going on or that goes on at the end or whatever it is, leave me some comments. I really like chatting with viewers. So like if you comment, you're almost guaranteed to hear a response from me. And then also you can subscribe to my channel. It is very heavily leaning toward plant matter, but it is kind of a random mixed bag. Indoor gardening, outdoor gardening, cooking, a little bit of, I'm trying to get a little bit more free time for reading because I do love reading. But life is busy. But you know, a little bit of reading, a little bit of weird random weekly vlogs. Nothing fancy, nothing professional by all means. You know, you've seen, if you're seeing this message, then you know we're kind of a shit show. But you know, it's fun. And without further ado, let's go. anybody who might still be watching. If you would like, please give this video a thumbs up. And if you want to, you can subscribe to this channel. It will help me kind of grow a little bit more on YouTube, which might give me the incentive to finish these projects in a more timely fashion. I just turned around and like in the background of this mess that is become my kitchen, I see like the devil. He's sitting on my shoulder whispering, "Finish it."